There is something you have been waiting to feel. You know the feeling. You have imagined it, a quiet internal signal, a sense of certainty, of readiness, of finally being enough that will arrive one day and tell you, now, now you can begin, now you can apply, now you can publish, commit, speak up, show up, start. You are still waiting for it. And the painful part is not that you are lazy. The painful part is that you have done everything you were supposed to do. You have researched, you have prepared, you have watched the videos, read the books, taken the course, made the plan, and still something inside you says, not yet, not quite. A little more time, a little more knowledge, a little more certainty. That feeling has a name, and understanding it is going to change the way you see yourself. It is called chronic unreadiness. And it is not a personality trait. It is not a character flaw. It is a deeply specific psychological mechanism. One that was built to protect you, that has been running in the background of your life for years, and that has quietly cost you more than you have let yourself calculate. Here is what it actually is. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger published research that would become one of the most cited studies in modern psychology. Their core finding was this: people with low competence in an area tend to overestimate their ability, but the inverse is equally true and far less discussed. People with genuine competence, people who have actually developed real skill, tend to underestimate how much they know. The more you learn about something, the more clearly you can see everything you do not yet know. And the more you can see what you do not know, the less ready you feel. This is the cruelty of preparation. The very act of learning makes you feel less prepared. Think about that. You have been interpreting your growing awareness of complexity as evidence that you are not ready, but it is actually evidence that you are becoming skilled. The beginner does not know enough to feel afraid. The person who has done the work feels every gap, every unknown, every possible way it could go wrong. That feeling of not readiness, it often arrives precisely when you are closest to ready, but it does not stop there. Because chronic unreadiness is not just a knowledge problem, it is a nervous system problem. When you imagine taking the step, sending the email, posting the work, making the call, something happens in your body before your mind even finishes the thought. Your heart rate increases slightly, your stomach tightens. There is a low-grade alert, a background hum of threat that your nervous system registers as danger. Not physical danger, but the nervous system does not distinguish between the threat of a predator and the threat of rejection. Both activate the same ancient circuitry. Both feel like survival. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist at Northeastern University who has spent decades studying how the brain constructs emotion, describes this process as predictive coding. Your brain is not reacting to what is happening. It is predicting what will happen based on everything that has happened before. And if your past contains moments of humiliation, rejection, failure, or being told you were not enough, your brain learned something. It learned that exposure is dangerous, that being seen can hurt, that putting yourself forward and being wrong is a threat to something more important than your plans, your sense of who you are, so it protects you. In the most efficient way, it knows how. It makes you feel not ready. Because if you are not ready, you do not have to go. And if you do not go, you cannot get hurt. The mechanism is elegant. The cost is your life. Where did this start? Because it did not start now. At some point, probably earlier than you can clearly remember, you encountered a moment where you tried and it did not go the way you needed it to. Maybe you raised your hand and got the answer wrong, and the laughter was small, but it landed somewhere permanent. Maybe you showed someone something you made and their reaction was not what you hoped for, and something closed in you quietly. Maybe you watched a parent attempt something and fail, and you absorbed the lesson without anyone ever teaching it. Trying is dangerous if you are not certain. Dr. Carol Dweck at Stanford, whose research on mindset has influenced educational systems across the world, found that children who were praised for effort responded to failure differently than children praised for intelligence. Children praised for intelligence, told they were smart, began to avoid challenges because challenges threatened the identity. If you are smart and you fail, what are you now? So the brain learns to only engage when success is near certain, only act when ready, only step forward when the outcome is already visible. You were taught to protect the identity of someone who does not fail. And the way you protect that identity is by never beginning anything that might contradict it. The not ready feeling is not about readiness. It is about safety. Now here's the part nobody talks about, the hidden cost. Every time you wait, you do not stay in the same place. This is the lie that makes waiting feel tolerable. The belief that waiting is neutral, that you are simply pausing, holding your position, until the conditions are right. But waiting is not neutral. Every month, you do not send the application. Someone else builds the experience you are waiting to have before you apply. Every week, you do not publish the work. Your internal critic grows more sophisticated in its arguments for why the work is not yet ready. Every day, you do not have the conversation. The silence between you and that person becomes more normal, more load-bearing, harder to break. The longer you wait, the more the waiting becomes the default, and the default becomes the life. Psychologist Timothy Geekel at Carleton University has spent decades studying procrastination and found that it is not a time management problem. It is an emotion regulation problem. People do not avoid tasks because they are lazy. They avoid tasks because the task is connected to an emotion, uncertainty, fear of judgment, fear of failure, and the avoidance is the brain's attempt to manage that emotion in the short term. It works. Avoiding the thing genuinely reduces anxiety. In the moment, not beginning feels like relief, but the relief is borrowed. The anxiety does not disappear. It defers, and when it returns, it brings interest. So what actually changes this? Not more preparation. More preparation feeds the mechanism. The part of you that does not feel ready will consume every new piece of knowledge and find a new gap, a new reason, a new version of not yet. You cannot prepare your way out of this. Not more motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Feelings are downstream of action, not upstream. You do not feel motivated and then begin. You begin imperfectly, uncertainly, with no guarantee. And the doing generates the feeling. This is not a philosophy. It is a neurological sequence. Action first, feeling follows. What actually changes this is something quieter and harder than either of those things. It is the recognition that the not ready feeling is information, but it is not instructions. Your nervous system is telling you something real. This matters to you. The fear is proportional to how much you care. The part of you that does not feel ready is not your enemy. It is the part of you that wants the thing so badly it cannot stand the thought of risking it. It is love disguised as paralysis, and you can acknowledge it without obeying it. This is the shift. Not conquering the fear, not eliminating it, not waiting for it to leave. Hearing it, really hearing it, understanding what it is protecting, and then moving anyway. Not because you are brave, not because you are ready, because you have finally understood that ready was never going to come the way you imagined it would. Ready is not a feeling that arrives before you begin. Ready is what you discover you already were on the other side of beginning. You have been waiting for a signal. There is something you have been waiting to feel, and now you know. It was never going to arrive first. It was always going to be the thing you found after you moved. Through the fear, through the uncertainty, through the very specific terror of being seen before you were certain. The signal was always on the other side of the step you were waiting to feel ready to take. So, what are you waiting for? It's now or never.